Okay, we are back.
Preston?
Yes. Granted one final opportunity. But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. We'll identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded.
I don't remember.
Let's see.
What's on his wrist?
I don't know what that is.
Well, what happened?
Well, let's look at the history. Okay, so let me see. I'm glad we have this history. Oh my god. So this is blatant straw cutting. Look at the photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. Let's see. Now that means if there is a problem with the evidence of significant detail, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You better know what you're doing, Ryonosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Yes, I am desperate, this isn't Louise. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. So what were we saying?
It's sitting behind him instead of across from him. It's the chair itself.
Well, you know, yeah, what is the purse doing with the dead person, anyway?
Because wasn't she sitting across from him, not behind him?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, why would the purse be on his chair?
It's not on his chair.
You sure? It looked like it was.
His hand is... He's sitting in a chair that's backs up to the purse.
But that still would mean the purse shouldn't be there, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be on that chair. Because she's sitting across from him, right? Not backed up to him?
Right.
Yeah.
Let me see why... Let me go back to see why it was submitted in the first place.
Because she's showing that she took the glass, and the only way she could have concealed anything was in her handbag, because she didn't have any pockets, so it was in the see-through purse.
Right.
See, that's not at his table.
So then, in that case, do we say the chair is the problem? Or... Because here's where he is.
Right.
Here's the chair with the other table. So is the chair the problem?
Because he's at a different table, right?
Okay, so is the chair the problem?
I don't know.
I knew what that was. Okay, well... What the heck is that?
You don't know.
Well... Do you see something else other than the chair that you think could be the answer?
No. The table? But that could be alluding to the same problem, is that she's at a different table.
Let's go with the chair.
Yes! Yes!
Oh god, I feel we didn't get the right one. What significance is your inability to positively identify anything wrong with this picture at all? I concur, and whoops. And praise the prosecution for his quick witness. But you need to look further, examine everything. Otherwise, you might miss an important clue.
It must be his hand.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Well, see, I wasn't even saying the purse, I was saying the chair, but... Well, unfortunately, I must do as I promised. You had your chance, Counsel. Wait, Your Excellency. The court should give consideration to the fact that this man is an amateur. One more chance, please. Well, I suppose he is just a callow student lawyer with little sense of protocol in these matters. I'm starting to feel insulted here. So take another look. You identify for the court the significant detail.
Yes! Yes!
Look at this here. This very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description. Dun dun dun. Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you might come up with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Auchi pointed out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brad has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Wouldn't it be great if when you go to trial you could just say, hey, I have an appointment, I'm gone? Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What you're thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case?
Yes, that's why she wants to leave.
To be honest, I'm not really sure, but if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Is it prise or priest? No. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence? Evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. Well, what do we have right now?
Look at the postman. Oh, he said he didn't mention it, right?
Yeah. Single fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. Yeah, so it's not in the post-mortem. See. This plan at the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident, but there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw there. Exactly, and that's not all. Look at the upper left where it says kitchen. Oh yes, what of it? No one would use those complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Ryunosuke. Oh. And we already did this. Like, I wonder if we saw a similar shape in one of these, that it would link the two. We already did this. He got his tooth removed. It looks like this medical first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why, with a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to the doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors, then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible-tasting medicine, they give you painful injections. Painful injections! And then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege, all when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. What the healthy curiosity? Having thoroughly examined the medical report card inside and out. Okay, eh? It says Hoda Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. Brr, I'll never forget it, never in my whole life. Most people will gift their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. I don't know what links it.
I mean, we have to ask to go somewhere else and find more stuff. Let's examine her. What was she studying?
Under the victim. So she was studying under the professor, it seems. Let's see. So then, defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial.
What's the picture of the table again? No candle or anything? Oh, it's right there on the plate.
Yes!
It's a candle.
Okay.
Yes! Yes!
What's this, counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How? You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. We know. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Yes! Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnaval. Ah. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryunosuke, you genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant. But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before that, and most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter! It's weird. It's like, I'm suspicious of the inspector, but he also kinda sorta seems maybe on the level. Maybe just has his own motives unrelated to the murder? I don't know. There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, counsel. From the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Oh well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it, Ryunosuke, do you think? Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased?
She's already dead. She poisoned him. That's why she's taking the glass, because the poison's in that, and she slid her glass over there with him.
Oh, that's good thinking. Yeah, because hadn't noticed the burn, no. Was a sleep that would have woken him up. He was already dead. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Uh-oh. Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor, was already dead. That's madness! Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right, that's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from the witness again. If it's true, as we now believe that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon. But, Your Excellency, the justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. Uh-oh. She's changing stances. Oh dear.
Yeah, but she also speaks Japanese, and she's a liar.
What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett? You speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all. But then why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible.
She's getting nasty, huh?
But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen, so I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. Yeah, the facade is breaking. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. Do you think when she has a meltdown, which I'm sure she'll have eventually, we're going to see her eyes finally and they're going to be evil?
I think the bird's gonna, like...
Yeah, the bird's going to fly off. So we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. She's scary. Like, every time she's sideways and I can't see her eyes, she just freaks me out. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem reports show no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably won't pick up on it anyway. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down into the Supreme Court's history, thank you. Easy does it. I hope that it's the last time I'll have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It's a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, Counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. I already knew this was our final one, because the music sped up. It's my investigative skills.
Can we press her and everything?
I think so, yeah. But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You cannot have noticed, can you? Huh? What? Ah! Haha, what fun! You hadn't realized. The dear lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Yonosuke. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can. Well, I can't. Anyway, when the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses and toast. Now, we've already established that there was only one glass. Yeah, because she had the other. As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water. Is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember, which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir.
Is that what's on the table?
Although, whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway, as far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other plausible cause of death besides the gunshot. Yeah, we did. Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
It's either poison or alcohol.
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't have had alcohol on top of his anesthesia.
I'm thinking it was probably poison, but I'm sure either one. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it hadn't cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead by that point. And yet, the fact is the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right. Arrgh. If there's some other way a man's life can have been taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
So is this where we show her the glass?
I think it's possible. I kind of want to press before we jump the gun on that, but that might be.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace. Yeah, I feel like it's hinting. If someone is strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height. However a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force us thoroughly examine the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true, but maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. I think we are supposed to show that glass there. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Taketsuchi Ouchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yeah, that's where. Okay, so we don't need to press on this last one. I don't think so, anyway. So let's try it. I mean...
Yes! Yes!
Uh-oh. The statement is clearly odd.
You show her the purse?
Well, I presented the picture with the glass.
What's on the table? See if it's alcohol. Let's look at it first.
I don't think you can tell from here.
Maybe you're just showing that there's one glass instead of two. Can you... Because I think he's poisoned.
Okay, let me press on this first. Inferior, what do you mean by that? In the lands of the great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene
Okay,
for
so maybe
later.
it's here with the purse.
But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it, isn't that so? Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost.
He's poisoned too. That's why he's...
Oh. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. Haha, killer blow, the lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchi is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Rinosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma. What, Rinosuke? There is one thing I noticed, something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean by Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant, if it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Okay, so it is. That's funny, that's the statement I said, oh. I don't think it'll tell us anything.
Yes! Yes!
Inferior, what do you mean by that? In the landscape of British Empire. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction... Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. That could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him, he's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. By moving the marker left and right, with left and right, you can turn your attention to the other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with X. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people in the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with left-right and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with X and see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Wait.
Okay. This is different, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
What though? What's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to shock you. He was really lost in his thoughts deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the source. What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case.
I'm bleeding from the mouth.
Yes. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes, if you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain, which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Uh-oh. Is that... That is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water, I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. I wonder if he drank some of that carbonated water and there's poison in it. The time is coming, I guarantee it. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. And that's how we prove with the without a trace comment. Miss Brett, can you confirm this indeed is the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination, and the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Okay, well first, let's see if we can investigate this.
See if there's stuff on the bottom.
The label is written in a foreign language that I don't know. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out, an interesting possibility. So...
Yes! Yes!
There we go. What is this, the bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from that glass? Order, order, order. And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Giselle Brett, it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you ever considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty? This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may, and respond to you forever for this disgraceful... Uh-oh. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. And I believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. That's because, as you said, it's in the glass. And she gave him her glass. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. Oh, but of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Rinosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it! Hold it!
Please wait. Isn't that... And you know, every time we go to start this game, she's one of the pictures. She must be a character who's going to be popping up more.
She might be like Maya.
Yeah. But who's the, and then that, Herlock Shlomes guy is probably like Gumshoe.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, you like Gumshoe.
I like Gumshoe.
Yeah. What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. So Sato Mikotoba, judicial assistant to the defense. Mikotoba?
To the defense?
Yeah, we're the defense.
Oh, that's right.
In my darkest hour with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. I bet I know what it is.
Glass?
Yeah. To be continued?
No.
I feel like we're right at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha, a judicial assistant, and a woman no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I only asked for 5 minutes of time. I have vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha, you're too late, little girl. The trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes, I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency, I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it, a report about something, written in English? It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's. After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh no, of course not. It's special characteristics of Curare and its effects on the human subjects. Interesting. What's that? I've never heard that word before. Time's up. Prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Goodbye then, and good luck. Okay, let's see what the heck this is. A poison from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of this region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Affects instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry. The above-mentioned effects occurs when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that infected by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that this toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Well, the burn mark, I guess it can go in. But no, he was already dead.
Can we actually look at the journal? That's all that you can see in the journal.
I think so. Let me look at it again. Yeah.
But it says it has to go through a blow dart. The above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound. Well, he has a tooth.
Yes, he has the wound in his mouth. Okay. I asked the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Also, isn't it funny that when he sees a pretty woman testifying, Ouchie's like, oh, but when a woman comes in, he's like, oh, a woman's here.
Yeah. He's a pig.
I know.
He kind of looks like a woman.
You know, this version looks a bit different, but I don't know. I guess he's a bit more feminine? I don't know. I asked the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but the prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have no evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett. Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer? That's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realized it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. I've said it many times before, but Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention?
Yes! Yes!
Miss Giselle Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, counsel? A toxin known as Curare? I
think it's Q-rare, because it's supposed to be rare, never heard of.
Yeah, so this, in your expertise, is not an actual thing. It's just, I guess. Toxin known as Curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death. What complete and utter nonsense. Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of Curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. Doesn't exist? Correct, which means No matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they never identify Curer. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order. Council, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report, authored by the visiting research student from England, Curer has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows, the report states that it produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with Curer suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Not freaking out yet.
Trumpery! These aspersions are utter trumpery. To start with, the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison. He would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed.
Oh my god, that's the real name of it. I just looked it up.
It is an actual
That's
thing?
the actual thing.
Oh, so it's not one of those puns that this game does.
No, and it's like really from the bark.
Wow.
Interesting, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, okay. I learned something new. You know, I gotta say, sometimes I'm impressed with this series and how some of the stuff it talks about really is legit. Like, that's true. What do you say to that, Inspector?
You drank it, didn't you?
Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that Curer was used. Explain yourself. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move.
Suffocate.
But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail, like the heart. Respiration. In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous. To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly Curer poison. The thing is, if you can't prove it was Curer, I don't know. Are you suggesting, and you're suggesting this bottle council actually contains this terrifying poison? This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison, or hitherto unknown poison, for which there is no means of testing? What a happy tale for the defense! Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I doubt he would have let that. If I may, all these facts, you'd think you're so clever, but you must... It is you who must be taught. Of course, dear lady. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree? Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. Ha ha ha. What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not. Oh, I see why not! Why would you let her have it?
She's gonna drink from it.
Oh. Oh.
Because it's in the other glass.
Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys.
That sounds kind of racist, huh?
She is. She's terrible. Sorry? To an English woman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics. So she put the poison in the glass.
I think so, which is why she was trying to take it.
You know what? I bet you I know how this ends. They're gonna ask her to drink from the glass in her purse.
Yeah.
But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers!
Unless she just keels over.
Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no Q-Rare. The bottle was clean, is that what you're saying? The bottle was clean? You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in the grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Ah, yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in the bottle, doesn't there? No, there doesn't! There can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke, we have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains no poison. Yeah, we got this. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Ryunosuke? Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your unadulterated naivete really astounds me, but sometimes it's in need of a good staining, until it's as stark as your uniform in the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? That was a guileless ending to a promising line of inquiry, Counsel. Analyzed. What? I really thought we were going... Okay, that bottle of water contains poison. The culprit did put Curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water.
It's in the cup, though.
The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious? Fool, are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it? That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be.
Purse.
Yes. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed?
Yes! Yes!
It seems the defense should have said the wretched accused.
I don't
What?
understand.
Sorry, Excellency, I'll try to find... Let's save, because we're down to 1. I feel like we have the idea. We've gotten it for like the past half hour, how she did this. You're making this complication more complicated than it needs to be. Alright, I'll do my best to find an answer that fits the facts. The defense, sorry, the wretched accused truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed? Oh, wait!
No wound.
No wound.
Yes! Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report. That's not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susatu-san's notes. I concur, this report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You'll direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Two, the wound, and special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this Curare poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes? And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, counsel. No, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Curare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research, you knew Curare's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little. You knew it! You knew it! Called me a rapscallion.
Is that like a scallywag?
Yeah, it's like a scallywag. Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer? It's true, because he was holding you up for the first half, but now you're doing it. All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it... Oh, I love that angry look now. So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in the book. Well, I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy, it only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, Curare is safe... To ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of this gastric succus. Oh yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? Yeah, you got it. So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? Yes, he would have. That's right. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? We already know how. Logic holds that Lady and the Professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest? Yes, this cure of poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
There we go! Waiting for the objection.
You too, Chuck.
I don't think so, Mr. Zobret. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well that there's no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, you must provide compelling evidence, as we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested. Why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the
His
curator?
medical report card?
Yeah.
Take that!
As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of Curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So, for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Man, we are so much more confident now. Look how he slaps that table. Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you are well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are so puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough.
She stood up running?
You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No. I mean, it could just slip. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed.
You still have the glass in her purse.
Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. Ah, ha, ha, ha. How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy, but afraid we'll never know now, will we, if there really was poison in the bottle or not. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady? That's right. And really, look at this photograph. It's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So, of course, the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy. No, you killed the victim that day using Curair. And then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. Heh heh heh. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say, and I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest, delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now... Is she really going to get away with it? The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Ryunosuke, yes, we've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. And what do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there were any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing that you could really depend upon. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now, try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the same scene in my head? Could there be another clue to expose identity? There's a clue. There's a clue. Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. Haha, you always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then, let's wipe the smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it could be, whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere, the clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer is. So, I don't think we exactly 100% knew the solution, but we were on the right track with the poison. The whole thing with the bottle and all, I don't know if it's... So is this it then?
Take that! Take that!
Yeah, because he would have bled facing her.
Yeah. Father Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes? What is it? He's still miles away, probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day? Wait a minute, where are you going with... Where are you going with this little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in the photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh really, and what of it? Obviously that must have happened when you shot the professor.
Didn't exit.
No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that the blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Yes. For blood to have made it onto his plate implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter, which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon. This is beyond ridiculous, fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing? This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean? Yes, I took the plate in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now. Inspector, the court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. Here's what you ordered, the steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man, show the court. Of course, examine the plate at your leisure. I see no blood. No blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's possible. I know I saw it, I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate. Hehehe. One of them becoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. My goodness! Ugh. Taylor, I couldn't agree more. In the case... we disgraced somebody. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire, then we finally reach the conclusion to the trial. Let's hope so. This less pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful to watch, but I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. Ha! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. Have the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. Sure.
But it should be the one that's he was eating, not her, right?
That's the thing. He wasn't eating anything.
I thought I saw just a figment of my imagination.
Listen, now I've lost. Ryunosuke, it's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward no matter what. Believe in myself, really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of evidence in this trial would be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to cleanse the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all?
Yes, rotate the steak.
Ah, yes. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. Oh, be quiet, Payne Sr. The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with the steak. Your Excellency, I think I made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see, as a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beefsteak is this new clue to be found?
I think it's underneath the... It's under the cow emblem?
So, okay, so when we saw this in the picture...
Can you look at the court record?
No, I tried.
Alright, just click on his cow head. Because I don't think there was an opening.
Yeah.
On the side.
Yeah, like if you just flip it.
Yeah.
Solid!
No, Cons, I'm afraid that won't do. That's what's ambiguous at best. Let me see. Wait a minute. Oh, but the last time we saved was a while ago. Well, only 6 minutes. That will do. I am not satisfied. No reasonable doubt remains. The defense has consistently failed. Accordingly, I hereby announce this court's Ryunosuke Naruhodo is guilty. Officer, restrain the accused and send the telegraphic communication to Great Britain without delay. The accused will not be granted the right to appeal. That is all. Court adjourned. My goodness. Retry from this scene. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Hey, we're back at 5!
I'm not... Are we overthinking this?
I mean...
What I'm saying makes sense, right? Or are you supposed to show the other end is not the same, like the hole? Because they flipped it.
I don't...
Because from his...
Oh, hey, we can move it around, huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin, and the hallmark is from the Hoya era, I believe. No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoya Koban? Yeah, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. And the first time today there's been talk of Hoya Koban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion and bullion. I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... I never expected to find a precious coin. I didn't realize we could examine it.
Oh.
And it's from the Hoya era, too. That would make it quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well. Look. Wait, are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. Koban coin underneath the steak. There's only one logical explanation. This emblem on the side of the plate. Is it a cat? It's a cow, obviously. Most likely because the restaurant's eating the traditional beef steak. It seems a lot of different restaurants have their own unique tableware. So this is the symbol of La Carnival, is it? Well, this seems weird, so let's present it. Good gracious, that's... Uh-huh. A Koban. What on earth? A Hoya one at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat? What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it. I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction. Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoya Kobin just happens to be underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip on my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right, it can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel. A rare Hoya Kobin just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give him my lawyer job right now. Stop you, no one invited you anyway. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant, even though I am the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that stake. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person can belong to. The owner of the Kobin that was found underneath the beefsteak is...
The old guy or no?
Oh, wait a minute! Yeah, wasn't he? Yeah, see? He was hunting for that!
Take that!
Obviously can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kiryo Korikutu-san. As in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Kobin coin when it happened, at exactly the moment the gun was fired. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Hoya-era Kobin, my prized coin. I forgot he said that, but yeah. It wasn't just idle chatter on his part. Whatever. You mean to tell me? No, please. Why would Korikuta-san's Kobin be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense. Which is why I'm asking to bring Korikuta-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. I can't believe we've come back around to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Kobin, we'll find that it's a key element of the case. Jeez, there's so many people here. I'm not used to this. What's this all about? Why haven't I been called up today? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom, myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop owner's existence. Be that as it may, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves, have you ever seen this? Wah! That's it. That one. The very exact one that it is. The resplendent, splendiferous Hoya treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. It can't be. As I thought. Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in its seasoned meat juices. Sandwich? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it could have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoya treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate? Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing? Excuse me, could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed. I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah, yes, that's right, the secret undercover operation. La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant that attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems unlikely that the Kobin incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Kurakuda-san's Kobin is all too clear. What? What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Kurakuda-san's Kobin and earned the sake? I'm gonna assume it's her for whatever reason. I mean, is there a reason that it would be Isanosa?
No, because didn't he want to buy it? Like, he came to meet that guy there, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't see why it'd be him.
Take that!
Yes, seems like a likely candidate for a Kobin thief. No, come on, Rinosuke. Huh? You shocked me, Kazuma. Not as much as you shocked me. No one could have approached the table unnoticed. Even if you're a crazy fool, you couldn't have missed that. I'm not sure you should be calling Kurakuda-san a crazy fool, Kazuma. It's you I was calling a crazy fool. Ah, maybe I'm on the wrong track here. Really? I believe I can't have heard you correctly, Counsel. Let me hear your opinion on this matter again. Tell us, who is the... Okay, so it's him, because he was trying to steal it, I guess? Obviously, it can only be you. Sergeant Isanosa. Well, how? How dare you, you monster. Monster? I stole that Kobin, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, Cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido. Ido's the mastermind behind all this. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, and this little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa. You... Clippity-clop, 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 gah! I still don't get how this has relevance, but okay. Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Isanosa, prone to stand down the Supreme Court, sir. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial, I don't know if it's Nippon or Nippon, Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand that a temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place, and I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. It sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man in his Kobin. Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. Whoops. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. I was all set to leave the steak. I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Ido too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could on the double. I slipped it under the stake, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time? Well, Miss Brett. Of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency? Indeed. The theft of the Coben was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Well, oof. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Very well, now that all the questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. Reinosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh no, it's just... something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. Can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. Good luck and good day? I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call it out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it! Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction? What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Reinosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. Go and see evidence, counsel. If Miss Brett's words truly uncontradictory, where's the evidence to prove it?
I don't know what they want.
No. I mean, that kind of came out of nowhere for me. Maybe this? The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Go on. More accurately, Your Excellency. The steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Notice what exactly, counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a good look at the steak, in particular the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all. But what is your actual point? Perhaps a delightful Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course, this will all be over soon. Rest assured, about to pull this rookie in his place. I've heard enough, you irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course, dear lady. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes, now at last it all comes together. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as she put it, counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. I'm very curious how this is going to wrap up, because I have no idea.
Unless the waiter took a bite out of it and the poison's in the steak.
Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence, how many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been what? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist. This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward. There can't be. I don't believe you have it. I don't, but there's someone who does have it, someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. I don't know, that he ate it, and that's why he's coughing up blood?
Maybe.
Very well, I have a feeling this will be my last request to the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence? I'm gonna assume it's him. The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. As well as admitting to stealing Korakuda-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Teen Shun. Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal. But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table. Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her own steak, nor does she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest the sergeant switched the two steaks over? You did switch the plates. Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my stake and hit the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he had decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my stake with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you, so yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable. However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swore on the brass buttons on my uniform that is all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over. It means he took Miss Brett's steak, and the plate it was on, back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes? Earlier in the trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. That's correct.
She's wincing.
I know, she's... Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot. What can they possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold snap of tough meat? Can't have the slightest bearing on the case. No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time, lady. I beg your pardon. Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak pan proves to be such a problem for you, no? Oh, you're the ones who decided there was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see that plate was confirm something the defendant remembers seeing.
The blood.
Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear splattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it, the plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court, present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. Here's the other steak in its plate. Please feel free to examine it. The bloodstain is clearly visible. Look! Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the other side of the plate shows that the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. Yeah, the phone is. That's right, Miss Giselle Brett. It's you. Outdone by a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no.
He's having chicken.
What? Okay, that was a black feathered one that came out after the yellows. Now she's an angel? What?
gonna get nasty.
Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life using Cure-Air. As you surmised, I chose that for a very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in this water. Because Cure-Air is unheard of here in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water, and it would be all over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter. But the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point. So I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of Cure-Air in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right, there were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Place where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun. Even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor in his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he picked up the gun. I don't get what her motive is, but maybe she'll explain. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor.
Misdemeanor?
Yeah, a bit of an understatement there. Your Excellency. Yes? I wonder... Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement? This can't be. Takatuchi Ouchi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student. You'd better start getting used to tough opposition. Reinosuke Naruhodo? What? Yes? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You've become conceited with age, Counsel, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Aochi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. Well, we don't need 1,000 millennia. We saw the original Phoenix Wright trilogy, this trial in the Supreme Court of Japan, will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, Yu Rinosuke Naruhodo presented an excellent case. I thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it had only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world, but the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it looks like, I cannot even begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi? Yes? After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can, absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Rinosuke Naruhodo, oh yes? In you, I says, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant Rinosuke Naruhodo.
So we're gonna try Swan Ass?
Well, no, I think she's guilty now, but I don't know what she's going to see the judge about. This court is now adjourned. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Rinosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. Ha! No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Our trusty judicial assistant, you worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father, ah yes, of course.
Why do I have the feeling that her dad's gonna get murdered?
I have this weird feeling too. Speaking of Mikotoba, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you, after all. Your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh yes, she mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now, besides. It's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world in science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. Japanese man's katana is a soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to that woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah, yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit, after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future, for Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country, I'm certain of that. What? But why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today, very impressive to watch. I will congratulate... But what's all this about, consular jurisdiction? Or consular? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we've signed the Friendship Treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our government making secret agreements after her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid that for the young student, today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking the case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make a change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But, Professor... You're right. This is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryo Nosoki's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you?
I'm bleeding from the mouth.
What is with that? Let's not worry about details for now. To La Carnival. Will you accompany us,
When
Professor?
he does that swagger, I feel like he's gonna, pass out, but he never does. He just rolls his fist up at you.
Why do you think he's going to pass out?
Because he's coughing blood, but then you see him do this, but then he does his fist.
Of course, La Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh yes, thank you. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of her. So Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. I have a feeling we're going to find out at some point. Because remember how Dahlia, we weren't done with her in the first case? I have a feeling...
Well, I didn't meet Dahlia too much later.
Dahlia was in the first case.
She was?
Remember? You put her in prison in the first case, but that was the second case Mia ever did. The first case was case 4 in the game, and that's where you find out why you wanted to pin her down for this.
I remember she wouldn't drink. Or drink from her necklace or something.
Her boyfriend or whatever drank from that and killed himself.
I know, but they were trying to get her to do something and she wouldn't, remember?
Yeah, it was something like that. But yeah, she was in 3 cases in the game.
She was terrible.
Yeah, but you see her again in case 4. And I have a feeling we're going to see her again. They'll establish the motive somehow. I just wanted to say thanks again. That's all. You really saved my skin today. Ha 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 ha. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? Defense was all your own work. your skills made the difference, then one day I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I can't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me. All that tense verbal combat, I never want to go through that ever again. I did what you told me to do, that's all. Because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryunosuke. You know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom you can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you chose to believe in even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stop believing in me. Well, you faced seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it through your own efforts, and because you believed in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. It sounds serious. What is... Ah, you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Ah, yes, that too. He never told him the favor. So my first trial came to an end. Kazuma. Professor Mikotoba. Susato-san, who acted as my assistant. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. And at another time, we will find out what that favor is.
That was long and kind of complicated.
Yeah, that was a really long... And I had heard this first case was longer than most first...
Like, usually, isn't the first one supposed to be super easy?
Usually it is. I can't believe we failed. By the way, there's a guy in the fourth game who does the same thing with his glasses. He does it and it looks evil, even though, like, he's your dude, you know, helping you.
Okay.
But it's just, I saw that, I'm like, that looks familiar. Okay. Well, another time we will do the Unbreakable Speckled Band.
We played for 2 hours?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I could tell my voice was like...
It seemed like it wouldn't end.
I know! I think they could have cut off a little bit of that, but...
Anyway.
Anyway. Alright, thank you for watching, and,